Actually, I think that surprises a lot of people to see numbers like that. When you think about an area where there are food access problems, you would think that everybody would be affected similarly. Why do women and girls suffer disproportionately?
It has a lot to do with culture. I think in regions, particularly like Afghanistan and Pakistan, there is the law, which obviously states women and men are equal. And then there is the implementation of the law. Here, people are extremely uncomfortable with the idea of equality. In fact, they consider it to be some kind of slur. And when you look at numbers on nutrition, um, it's almost like women are the bargaining chip for more power that men want to negotiate on. And it doesn't surprise me at all. Culturally, South Asian culture generally, and a lot of Afghanistan as well, we see that the men are served food first, and then it's the children, and then the women. And so this entire concept of nationhood or advancement is so men centric that they completely forget that the life force of all of these fights that men put forward come from women: the birthing, the nursing, the injury care, the food, the life skills. And so I would say that this is a cultural problem that laws cannot necessarily fix unless, of course, the justice system punishes those that put women behind. In the floods, particularly in Pakistan, we saw that men would have access to food, men would have access to farming needs. And so women automatically were at the back.
Yeah, and I mean, in many of these cases, if it's happening at a family level, for example, in terms of who eats first and who gets more of a portion. Oh, I think we just lost you, Aisha. Are you there?
Sorry, I'm back now.
Okay, good. Good to know. Okay, so if it's happening at a family level, it's not as if authorities would get involved in that. So if it's a cultural issue, how do organizations like yours try to change that? Is it possible?
I think it has to be through the laws because that's when it's going to scale. You can't convince enough people to serve women first. That is just something that's not going to happen unless there's something punitive. These lands are agrarian, and patriarchy and agrarianism generally go hand in hand. And therefore, there's this concept that men do important things and women do less important things. The change will come through punishing. For example, when aid was distributed and women were kept behind, there should be investigations and there should be action on those that actually limited food. Because it's a violation of a human right, and women and children should come first. But that's just one of the myths that they use to, I guess, run ships. But it does not translate into the day to day, and doesn't surprise me at all that these numbers are so extensive because it's almost like NGOs like ours are on the sideline, almost relegated to irrelevance, and actually looked at as very suspect because we're bringing in ideas that are not good for our culture. And therefore, millions of women and children go hungry and are dying. And that consequence, there's an impunity for that idea.
Are people starting to talk about it, especially when, this Unicef report will make headlines around the world? Will it make it into the press in Pakistan? Will people bring it up at a local level?
I think so, but just a very minute fraction. You have to understand, like in Pakistan, there's so much of a crisis going on politically, economically, that anything to do with giving equal rights to another minority or fringe group is looked at as frivolous and unnecessary. And of course, the people who are exceptions to this, they are lawmakers that are working hard. The BISP program, the Benazir Income Support Program in Pakistan, has done rather well, which gives directly women money into their digital wallets. But we don't see that trickling into real life because, again, if men control women, then empowering them is not useful at all because they will eventually also control the empowerment of women. And the way they do this is violence. They use a lot of violence, a lot of limitation to access of food, of policy, of well-being. So if there's violence and you're blocking women, then there will be no progress if you try and empower them.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing, especially when you consider in many cultures, women are still expected to be the ones to go out and buy the food, to prepare all the food, and they are the ones suffering more, way more, from malnutrition in many countries. Aisha Sarwari, such a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks.